it is altogether appropriate for me to be still, to take time alone, maybe in nature. I don't know how, anywhere, to be alone, to be still. And slowly let life instruct me from within as if I can stop it. But I've noticed sometimes I won't give it space. John Borisenko calls these moments the dark night of the soul between no longer and not yet. There you have it. No longer and not yet. Incubation. And I've noticed there are certain telltale signs for when I don't want to be there. I don't want to be in that spot. I want to get up. I want to get out. I want to demonstrate my treatment. I want to be healed. I want to move on. You know what I mean? Here are the signs. Number one, denial. That means I expect something, anything else to be happening other than what is happening. 2, self-criticism. I notice that I can treat myself very poorly after a fall, as if that will inspire me to get up quicker. 3, mental chatter, clutter. I notice that the conversation in my mind, it heats up, it revs up. And the nature of the inner conversation is not that kind, not that pleasant. And these awarenesses are important to me because do you know that it is right there in these places where we create our personal reality? Where that moment of darkness, the journey of the soul through the darkness, instead of being a nurturing place of possibility, incubation, it can become a living hell. And so I'm asking myself these questions about those periods of time when the wheel is headed down. Can I cultivate a kinder conversation inside of me when it's happening? Is that possible? More importantly, can I actually take the time to be in the in-between? Do I even let that happen? And can I sit still with my darkness and not try to force a blessing out of it too quickly? See the good. And not try to force a change before it's time. To sit still, even with the mental clutter, even with the criticism, even with the denial, not to fight it either. To let it be and watch that with space and time, life, my anchor, the spirit of life, rises up. Pascal, the philosopher and mathematician, he wrote these words. I have discovered that all human evil comes from this, not being able to sit still in the room. Well, I don't know about all of human evil, but certainly I have discovered something powerful when I first learned to sit down in my own mind. I found that all these things, these resistant points, the clutter, the chatter, the criticism, they don't actually go away through avoidance. They go away because they have no basis in my life's power. But I can't find that until I learn to discover stillness. I also discovered that at times of trouble, my mind gets overly busy when in fact the thing that is the most restoring practice is to sit with it and be in nothing, nowhere, with as few stories as possible, and to let my natural connection to all that is rise up to instruct me from within. And everybody has these moments, dark night of the soul, everybody, however you reframe it or what you call it, at least one: disappointment, failure, struggle, disconnection, a challenge, a loss, everybody. Enough so that I know that there is no one-size-fits-all explanation for how to get through it, or for why do we go through it, or for what is the purpose and value for having these things. You know, it's a question, it's between you and your soul. But we know we want a strategy and we want a plan and we hope for, here's the steps to take to get out of it. And so because there's no one-size-fits-all, then what we do is we turn to great literature and great spiritual traditions for the inspiration that will help us integrate something to be in the silence and to get up at the appropriate time. And I mentioned earlier that Easter's about to happen. It's coming. And there's a part of the story that leads up to the great Easter event that I find so very helpful. It's what was happening on Palm Sunday, because that's today. You know, Palm Sunday. And it's building up to the meal that the Christian world came to know as the Last Supper. And what's interesting to me is that the world today is not too terribly different from how it was then. Here's the scene. People were hurting. They were confused by the world around them. There's military activity. Some were oppressed, others were enslaved. And out of their confusion and desperation, they were grasping for a better way to live life. And there was this sincere hope for something, for someone with some kind of authority to come along and make such a profound transformation in the circumstances of the world that things around them would be better again. Not much different from today. And even today, it is still the recipe for a great fall. Go ahead and place all your hope out there for a better life. Some change in some environment or condition of the world to make things better. When countless teachers, saints, prophets, wise women and men have told us over and over again exactly where to look for our salvation. But we still continue to struggle with this idea that somewhere, something, somebody, some government, some change, that's what will do it. Well, that was the setting for the first Palm Sunday. The people were hoping and had been hoping for a long time for a Savior who had been predicted to come. You see, it can be our story. The Savior to come and set things right. I mean, here's how it can be your story. Have you ever waited for a prayer to be answered and hoped it would come soon? Nobody. One lady in the front. Well, okay, let me put it this way. Then maybe you identify this. Not you, your friends maybe. Have you ever seen anybody that are praying for a relationship? Yes. And then as soon as anything that looks remotely like it shows up, they grab onto it. No? That's what was happening on Palm Sunday. That's the scene. You see, word had spread that there was somebody who knew. And so they went to him, they flocked to him in the hope that he would be the one. And they brought with them all of their ideas of how a Savior should be and how a Savior should show up and what a Savior should change and a Savior should do.